Welcome. We are live with the BS3 Sports Show on YouTube. I am the honorary host along with Courtney Harden. I'm Tyon Mack. Ben Sutters, or Mr. BS3 himself, is not here today. He's going to be on the Ear Hustler podcast today. So check him out at 7:30, I believe. We said 7:30 today, Eastern time. So, Courtney, how you doing today?
What's good, man? How you doing, man? I'm glad we got to at least can put out some content right now with NBA playoffs, man. I'm glad that we can do this. Hey, we do this duo. Let's go. Let's do
it. let's rock, man. Let's jump right into it. So we're gonna be covering a bunch of things today. We're gonna cover first the coaching carousel. We had a couple of coaches that were fired. We're gonna look at that first, and then we'll look at the NBA playoffs, the predictions. And then finally the X factors for each team. So let's go ahead and hop into it. We've had two coaches over the past couple of days be fired. Number one, Alvin Gentry. Let's point out Alvin Gentry from the New Orleans Pelicans. How do you feel about that firing? What do you think? And who's a good person to take over?
Man, Alvin Gentry. There was a lot of talk about him being fired if the Pelicans didn't make the playoffs. And I don't think he would have got fired unless, this season, unless, the reason why I think he got fired because of the way the Pelicans played in the bubble. They seemed like they played very, with really no heart. It seemed like they were very listless. You had a lot of, they did a lot of different things with Zion where he wasn't even playing much. Like they had said that he was in some of the best shape when he got there, like throughout this this hiatus that they had. He was in good shape. Then he had to leave the bubble for a little bit, but you don't lose that like for that week. He should have been playing, So I think that mismanagement with Zion really did him in, and then the effort of the Pelicans in this bubble. I had them actually being in the mix to make the playoffs. I thought with all the guys coming back, Zion in some of his best shape of his life, and they mismanaged it. They really didn't play. They didn't play up to their standards. They struggled. I think they went 2-6, I believe, in the bubble or something like that. So I think that did Alvin Gentry in. And like I said, Zion, he didn't play. He played like 15 minutes each the first few games, and you could tell he was frustrated, and I don't know what the purpose was. It was 8 games. You got to play your best players. So I think that definitely did Alvin Gentry in. And then Lonzo, you could tell he just didn't seem like he was in it. Jrue Holiday, he played decent, and Brandon Ingram played decent, but the rest of the team just didn't play with no effort. So that did Gentry in. To replace him, I mean, there's a lot of good names. I mean, Ty Lue's been, he's been wanting to come back to coaching. So I can see Ty Lue actually going to the Pelicans and being the new coach there.
Cool. Okay. Now, see, I want to echo some of your same sentiments. I felt. Well, first off, I want to say that I felt that Gentry was kind of set up, man. I mean, here's a team. This New Orleans Pelicans team was actually looking on a come up. They had started playing well. I think Brandon Ingram, he's in that running for most improved player. He had a stellar year. I mean, they've been comparing him to KD since he came out. And, man, his mid-range game is nice. His mid-range is nice. He started going to the hole, started being more aggressive. This is a guy who really turned the corner for them. So, I was really looking forward to seeing him along with Zion Williamson, but they put on a minute restrictions, man. And I didn't understand that. You got 10 games. You got 10 games.
Yeah.
And you put him on a 15-minute restriction for a game? Come on, man. Like, who's supposed to win with that, man? And he's supposed to be your best player or your second best player. You had Alonzo Ball. Alonzo Ball came back, and when he ended the season, he was balling. He was balling when he ended the season. Yeah. When he came back, like, it looked like his jump shot from his rookie year, man. It was terrible. So, it was a little bit of just, they look rusty, man. They look rusty. They look like a team who needed some time to get back their cohesiveness and things like that. And to have only 10 games, they just was out of luck. And I said that with the bubble in the beginning. I said, hey, with the bubble and these teams fighting for that playoff spot, it's really gonna be who gets hot first, right?
Yeah.
Who gets hot first, and we saw who got hot, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Portland got hot and Phoenix got hot. I mean,
Yep.
Phoenix won defeated in the bubble, I believe, and still missed it. So, you
Yeah.
know, but those two teams got hot, and in comparison, like you said, I believe New Orleans was 2-6 or 2-6, I believe, or two and
Yeah.
seven, something like
Something
that.
like that. Yep.
And then look at Memphis. Memphis was like 2-6 or 3-5, something like that. So they had a pretty bad record too. But like I said, I felt like Alvin Gentry got set up a little bit, man. I think they didn't give him enough to win this year. Especially when they came back from the bubble. I did think that they could make that playoff spot and or be playing for that play-in game.
Yeah, playing game. Yep.
And they just didn't get there. You already mentioned one of the coaches, Tyronn Lue. Of course, he's familiar with their GM. I can't think of his name right now. But he's the former GM from David Griffin, right?
Griffin, yep.
Griffin,
from
right?
Yep.
From Cleveland, right?
Yep.
So he's already familiar with David Griffin, which is interesting because I think Griffin's the one who got rid of him in Cleveland. I believe. So
yeah, he did. Yes.
So that'd be interesting to bring Tyronn Lue. You've been hearing about Jason Kidd. I think Jason Kidd has been talked about a lot. I actually think Jason Kidd would be a really good fit there. You do have a point guard who's, similarly couldn't shoot the ball like you, but had really, really good court vision, play really, really great defense. Definitely be somebody that he can mentor and develop into a great player. I also think New Orleans has really, really young players and good pieces, and Jason Kidd is a good voice for that locker room.
That's a good. I like that Jason Kidd pick, just like you said, from the perspective of a point guard to a point guard, and Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball had a good year this season. I mean, like I said, it just seemed like some of those players, I think once they started losing and they just like, you know what, we don't want to be here anymore. We can't cover this much ground. They were like 6 games behind, or 5 or 6 games behind the AC going into the bubble. So then you brought up Memphis. They had a 4-game lead, so that's why they had that cushion. Even as bad as they played, they had that cushion. They were the AC anyway. So, and they just ran into a hot Portland team. But that Jason Kidd coaching, I think that would be really good because it would help Lonzo, and it'll help that young team. And Kidd's itching to coach again too, so I think he wants another chance. So that's a good pick. I think that would be a good pickup to him for New Orleans too.
Definitely. So let's go to this other team.
I think you got frozen. Tyon is frozen here, so not sure what's going on with his. So let me break this down. We were going to talk about the Chicago Bulls, and the Bulls fired their coach a couple of days ago, Jim Boylan.
There we go.
You there? Okay, I was just saying about. I was going to say something. I was going to say Jim Boylan. I just going to jump right in. That's that hosting. I know how to do this too. So you know it, the podcast. But yeah, Jim Boylan and the Bulls. You were going to go to that, and he got fired from. He had a real bad record too. So the Bulls they gave up on him. They gave up on him mid-season, I think, and they need to strip it all down. And they've already fired Gar Forman and John Paxson. So they had to start from the top, from the general manager to the president, and now the coach, Jim Boylan. So the Bulls just need to start over. They got a pretty talented team. Zach LaVine, Lauri Markkanen. They got some pieces that they can build on. It's just now got to find the right coach and the right general manager and president. So the head honcho's got to be in place for the Bulls to succeed. And we talked about maybe Jason Kidd, Alvin Gentry. He might be a good fit for that team. Or they can go a couple of different directions. Mark Jackson, I don't know if he wants to coach. I know he said he does, but is that the right fit? We'll see. I mean, there's a couple of names, but I can see somebody like a Alvin Gentry going to Chicago. You got I think Sean Marks. I think he's another one. The one that he coached the Nets, the Brooklyn Nets. So you got him. So there is some good coaches that the Bulls could actually look at.
I agree. I definitely agree. I think you pointed out first and foremost, yeah, the record, Jim Boylan record just wasn't good in
Yeah,
Chicago. Um, and I don't. And you also pointed out that they fired basically the whole like upper staff or whole front
yeah,
office,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Their front office, man, the players that they've been signing and the players they've been bringing in, drafting. I'm looking at their roster right now, and I just don't see nothing that actually meshes together, man. You got Zach LaVine, who's a 20-point scorer. He's a scorer. You know what I'm saying? He's a legit, you know, shooting guard. He goes out, he gives buckets. But after
yeah,
that, you got Markkinen, Lauri Markkinen. You got Wendell Carter. I think they pretty much play the same position. Um, then you got Kobe White and Chris Dunn. They play the same position. You got Thaddeus Young and Otto Porter. Like you have all these players that kind of like overlap each other, but nobody really stands out. You
yeah.
know,
Right.
and so you're wondering like what is the rotation? What can you get? Who do you build this team around? Is it do you build around Zach LaVine? You just drafted White from North Carolina. Is that going to be your future point guard? Like, what direction are you going? And so, um, I think that blowing this up was smart for them, for actually the staff, for ownership blowing this up, bringing in some fresh bodies, some new eyes to look at this, and really start building this team. And I think you mentioned Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson might be a good piece.
Yeah,
He might be somebody who can come in and really motivate players to play. He's a great motivator. I don't think he's a great coach, but I do think he's a great motivator. And I think he can get players to play. Also think he's good on defense too. So, Chicago is a team who had issues with defense.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
you know, he can basically get them to buy in on defense. What about Kenny Atkinson? Kenny Atkinson
That's what
got
I
a
meant.
raw
That's Sean
deal.
Marks. Not Sean
Yeah,
Marks. Penny Exon. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Kenny Atkinson got a raw deal with the
Yeah,
Nets.
the Nets. Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
He'll be. I think he'll be a good. He's a good coach. I mean, they just like you said. He had a raw deal. Like you said, he didn't have KD. They didn't. Kyrie was injured for most of the season, so he didn't really. I mean, he had a good, nice young team, and they still made the playoffs. So they would have made the playoffs anyway with him. So I think Kenny Atkinson would be a good fit too. So yeah, the Bulls can go a lot of different directions.
yeah, and when you think about those young players, I think of a Kenny Atkinson as a person who, what I'm saying, when you look at his job with the Brooklyn Nets, he took a lot of like journeyman young
Yeah,
players,
yeah,
a lot of cast offs, and he kind of got them to buy into a system. They played good basketball. I mean, D'Angelo Russell had probably one of his best years as a professional with him. He
yeah,
became an all-star under Kenny Atkinson. So, you look at that and you look at, again, you got a guy like Zach LaVine who has immense talent, can score. I mean, he's a workaholic. He works hard. This is a guy that maybe you can mold into a legitimate point guard or a legitimate shooting guard, whatever direction you want to go with him. But I think
yeah,
Kenny Atkinson could be the guy to do that. Again,
yeah.
give a shout out to Mark Jackson. I think Mark Jackson would be a good coach in there. I think Mark Jackson should get a look anywhere, to be honest.
Anywhere, yes, anywhere.
Man,
He should.
he's getting a raw deal. What about bringing back like I said, I can't think of his name. I mean, Alvin Gentry. Roll Alvin
Yeah,
Gentry out there. You know what I'm saying? Alvin Gentry has been really good at creating systems and getting players to buy into a system. I think he could do some good in Chicago, even if it was just a stopgap for a couple years, just to develop some talent and get that roster on the right path. He had that New Orleans roster going the right direction. So
yeah.
I think he'll do good for Chicago as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think, yeah, I said Alvin Gentry. Like you said, he probably got a raw deal too, and so he would be I think he'll be a good fit for Chicago. Chicago can go a lot of different ways. They just got to get the right person to mix with that young nucleus and get them playing. Because Zach LaVine was having an all-star year. He should have been an all-star this season too. So he was just on a really bad team, but he was balling. I mean, I think he was averaging like almost 25 plus points a game, and he was starting to buy into with the assist. and with the rebounding. So he finally was he was 2 years removed from that torn ACL that he had. He was explosive, and he was buying into the system. So you gotta get him now. You gotta get a good coach to mold these guys. And Kobe White, I really like his game, and he's got to work on his jump shot. But he's explosive, got handle, speed. So he just got to work on that jump shot a little bit, and the Bulls can get right back into the mix. It's going to take probably a couple of years, but starts from the front office and then it works its way down.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so moving from coaches who were already removed from their teams to now coaches on the hot seat, right? Of course, you had the playoffs started, but just because you're in the playoffs does not mean that you're going to have a job next year.
Yeah,
so,
right.
So I highlighted two coaches, and you can add if you can think of anybody else, but I highlighted two coaches that are probably on the hot seat right now. We'll start off in the Eastern Conference, Brett Brown and the 76ers. How do you feel?
He's been on the hot seat for a while. I think it's last 2 years, Brett Brown, he maybe this will buy him a little bit of time, but I don't think so. If they don't make a run, Philly, I mean, he's probably done. He probably should have been done last year, but they gave him another chance. And then now we had the stoppage earlier this year, and now he's back, and he's been dealt with a lot of injuries again. Embiid's in and out of the lineup. Ben Simmons now out for the rest of the season with the kneecap issue. And the Sixers, they got so much talent, but Brett Brown, for some reason, he just can't seem like he can't keep that talent together. Like they play hard, they play hard sometimes. They're inconsistent, and it goes to the coaching. And it's just the way he talks in press conferences. It's almost like he doesn't know what he's doing, doesn't know what he's talking about. You know what I mean? Like the rotations are terrible, especially in playoff time. He doesn't know what to do with the rotation. He calls timeouts at the wrong, unopportune times. There's so much with Brett Brown that that's so negative. Now, they maybe they might keep him beyond this year because of what he's been dealt with everything. But I think if they get put out in the first round, which I believe they will by the Boston Celtics, I just don't think he's gonna make it past this season. I think he's just about done.
I am probably there with you, sir. Man, this is a team that I felt has been underachieving. And I think they've been underachieving thanks to Brett Brown. We look at the amount of talent that they've accumulated over the past 3 or 4 years. This is a team who should be playing in the Eastern Conference Finals or in the NBA championships. Now, I even look at last year. I thought they had a good chance last year, but my biggest issue is you've been playing Ben Simmons at point guard all these years, and finally, when you guys have the bubble, you decide, hey, let's play him at power forward.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, he's a 6'10" dude.
Yeah.
Why not have him in the middle of the paint passing? His strength is passing and going to the rim.
Yeah.
It ain't his jump shot, right? It definitely ain't his jump shot.
It ain't the jumper. No.
And so when you see that, I've been trying to figure out what type of system did they really want to have. They've not, I don't think Brett Brown has locked in on some specific system that he wants to use when he's using these players. You got Joel Embiid, who can be a monster in the paint. Right? He's a 7-footer. He's a monster in the paint. And you are letting him settle for 3-pointers. Then you got Ben Simmons sitting at the 3-point line. Right? What? It's like, Jesus, come on, dude. Like, they both should be banging at the rim and spreading it around with shooters. And so, that's one of the biggest things I've been saying all year. Where I'm like, at this point, one of them has to go because you obviously don't want to play them in that manner where you have both of them in the paint.
Yeah.
Even last year, when you look at, they had Al Horford. Matter of fact, they still got him, right? They still got Al Horford, right?
Al Horford,
yeah. You got Al Horford there too. You know what I'm saying? So you got these bigs that are all in the paint, but Al Horford is out shooting threes. Yeah. Joel Embiid is out shooting threes. Ben Simmons
Harris.
Yeah, and Tobias Harris shooting threes. Like, none of them guys play in the paint big. And your best scorer is your point guard at 6'10" who goes to the rim. It's just mind-boggling. So, You look at that, and like I said, with him going down, almost feel like him going down might be a blessing in disguise to allow them to get some type of structure within that offense. You have Josh Richardson. You have Shake Milton. Shake Milton can shoot the ball. You went and picked up Alex Burks, who's a scorer. You got Glenn Robinson III, who can play defense and shoot the three. And then you got Tobias Harris. You got Mike Scott. You have talent. You have more than enough talent to make a deep run. So if you don't make a deep run this year, if I'm the front office, I might be firing you, bro. You got to go.
And you're right. Got to go. The talent, we talked about this through the NBA season. The talent is there, like from top to bottom. Their roster is probably the most talented roster from top to bottom. Like they're deep. It's just the coaching. We just don't know what system they're gonna run. And then you have two centers. You have Al Horford and Joel Embiid that love to play in the post. Now, yes, Al Horford can step outside a little bit, but that's not his strength. He loves to still play in that post. And you got Ben Simmons, who clogs the middle up himself, who's not a shooter, as you said. And you got a couple shooters. They probably shouldn't have never got rid of JJ Redick at all. So they need shooters. If you're gonna play with Embiid, you got to, like I said, Ben Simmons can't be there. You got to have that inside presence and the outside shooters around you. And I think that's how they have to play if they keep Joel Embiid, and he's got to surround him with shooters. But Brett Brown doesn't have that system in place to do it, and he doesn't want to do it.
Yeah. So as stated, I mean, I think he's on a hot seat. I think that if they don't make that deep run, he's going. And the second team that I want to point out, he's probably been on a hot seat for a while, but I think he's going to be in a hot seat. Like, I think it's smoking now. Mike D'Antoni with the Houston Rockets. What is your thoughts on Mike D'Antoni?
Yeah, his seat been burning up. For real. His seat's burning. Like he got another year. Houston has played well, and they finally put it together with Westbrook and Harden. Picked up Westbrook this offseason and for the trade with Chris Paul. And shout out Chris Paul. The way they're balling right now, he's balling with OKC. I didn't see that coming at all. At all, for them to be, they're the fourth seed, I believe. Yeah, they're fourth seed. Yeah. So shout out to him, and he's definitely come back to being one of the best point guards in the league. So, but Harden and Westbrook, it seems like it's like this every single year with both of these guys the last few years, that they do well in regular season and they flame out. And D'Antoni's small ball, like he's taking his small ball to the next step. It seems like now guys that are 6'6" at center, 6'5", PJ Tucker at power forward and center. They're gonna get crushed on the boards when they start playing in the playoffs, when they got to play OKC against guys like Steven Adams, big men like that. So, but D'Antoni, that system only works in the regular season. That run and gun, that the 3-point shooting, just attempting 60, 70 threes. Yeah, I don't think that it doesn't work. It didn't work with Phoenix. With he had the horses then with Steve Nash and Stoudemire and Sean Marion, and he had the guys then, and it's got Harden and Westbrook are great talent. I like both of their games, but I just don't see D'Antoni, that system ever working, and not for a deep run in the playoffs. And I think it's going to be the same. I actually got them getting beat. I know we're going to talk playoffs in a little bit, but I actually got them getting beat by OKC because the Westbrook injury. So, but D'Antoni, if they don't make a deep run, he's definitely gone.
Yeah, I agree, man. I'm like, we've seen this before. We've seen him try to run the 10 seconds of offense, 12 seconds of offense,
7 seconds or less.
Seconds or less. You know what I'm saying? We've seen that before. We've seen the ISO, the point guard heavy, dish, shoot, 3-point, all that stuff. And I agree. I think, when he had those Phoenix teams back in the day, and he had Steve Nash, he had Rajah Bell, he had Amari Stoudemire, he had Joe Johnson, he had Boris D.o.l.l.a, Sean. Like, he had size and he had shooting. You know what I'm saying? And they couldn't get it. They couldn't win. You know what I'm saying? I mean, their best bet was against that San Antonio team.
Yeah.
and I think they ended up losing to the Lakers one year, but they were a good team. This team, this Houston team, they only go as far as Harden. I mean, not even as Westbrook. It's as far as Harden.
It's still Harden's team. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's Harden's team, and that's it. Like, if Harden has a bad game, this team is toast. You know what I'm saying? They are done. And I mean, he's played like a man on roids the whole year, right? Like, I mean, this dude is like going 105 miles per minute. You know what I'm saying? He's going all the time. But as I've said, once you get into the playoffs, and teams are literally just playing it for you, they don't have to worry about nobody else but you. That's when it becomes a problem. Yep. And people always mention the whole small ball thing. Oh, the Warriors play small ball. The Warriors played small ball in spurts. They didn't play small ball all game. Yeah. They would beat you up with their bigs. They would have bigs that could play in the paint. They'll give you size, and then they run you to death. Then they turn around, hit you with some size again. Then they run you to death, get some more. You know what I'm saying? And so that combination, it threw people off. Okay, now we got to run. Now we're gonna Now they're gonna slow down the game. Now they're gonna run. But Phoenix, but this Houston team, they're just gonna run. We know they're gonna run the whole game. And so, it's all about matchups. Do I think they'll beat the Thunder? I see somebody said the Thunder in 7. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Thunder beat them in 7. I would not be surprised, right? But as the playoffs progress, you look at how this lays out. I mean, if the Rockets make it past the Thunder, I don't think they beat either the Lakers or the Blazers because it's just too much size. They're going to be too much size. The Lakers being physical and having that size, and they play physical. The Lakers are a physical team. Portland being a team who can play physical, but they have the guard play to match Houston, right? Yeah. So I don't think that they make it past the second round. And if I'm the ownership of the Rockets, D'Antoni, you've had enough years. Every year your excuse every year has literally been the Warriors. Well, there's no Warriors this year.
Yeah,
there is no Warriors. You said that it was the Warriors was the reason why you could not get the ring. So there's no Warriors. And since there's no Warriors, there's no excuse. You got to get it done. And if you don't get it done, you got to go.
Yep. They had their chances. And then you said Houston had their chances. They had their chances when they had the Warriors on the ropes, when they were up in that series. And then, the Chris Paul injury, I still believe even with Chris Paul not getting injured, I think the Warriors would have figured it out. I think they would have beat them anyway because, the Warriors, they were down 3-2 in that series, but they're like, okay, we're going to play back home and we're going to go back to Houston and beat them in 7. So I still feel like they would have beat them anyway. But besides just, you brought up, like, this is Harden's team. If you could take Harden out, Harden's going to get his. He's going to get his regardless. He's that good of a baller. But it works in the regular season. But they can go on those droughts where they can miss 20-something straight threes, and then they get pounded, and then they get pounded on the glass. And how are they going to be able to guard guys? Like, okay, say they do get past OKC. Then you got to play the Lakers the next round. So who's covering AD? Like, who's going to guard AD? PJ Tucker can't guard him. You can't put him on Anthony Davis. Then they're gonna have to play Tyson Chandler. They got to play Tyson Chandler, somebody like that. And D'Antoni don't want to do that. He wants to play his small ball. Yeah. So, but you gotta have somebody to guard AD. And if you do, who's guarding LeBron? So the Lakers are too physical. As you said, Portland's too physical. They had the guards to contend against Harden and Westbrook.
You got Nurkic here.
Right. And then Carmelo, he probably wants to stick it to them anyway if they get past that. So there's a lot. So D'Antoni, I just think he's the lame duck coach going into the season anyway because they fired all his staff in the beginning of the year. Yeah. So he had to get a whole new staff. So he's on the hot seat, definitely.
And let's be real, that trading Capella, that was a desperation move. That was all desperation. That was like, look, you know what? I know that if I don't get it this year, it's over. I'm just gonna put all my eggs in a basket and see what happens. Right. And that's what he did. So we're gonna see. Like I said, I don't see Houston winning the ring. I don't think anybody really sees Houston winning the ring. But they're going to challenge. They're going to challenge that theory of small ball. How far can you get with the small ball game? So they're going to challenge it. We're going to see this year because they have the ultimate small ball team, man. That is a crazy team.
That is a crazy team. A real crazy team.
All right. So moving on. Let's get into the playoffs. You ready?
Yes.
All right.
Let's do it.
All right. So let's start over. We start over in the Eastern Conference. I think the Western Conference is so intense. So intense we can save them for last. Let's go over to the Eastern Conference. We'll start off with the number 1 and number 8 seed. You got Mike Budenholzer, Milwaukee Bucks against Steve Clifford's Orlando Magics. Who are you taking? Who's the X factor on both teams? Give me your prediction.
Man, I think this was last season too. I think this was the matchup last season as well. But I got the Bucks. I got the Bucks easily in this one. I think it's either a sweep or, as they say, a gentleman's sweep. Could be 4-1. Could be one of them type of sweeps. But I think the Bucks get them in 4-0. The Bucks are just too much firepower for Orlando. Giannis, to me, the MVP, and then the Bucks haven't played well in the bubble, but I think they know they was already number 1 seed, so they know what's at stake. It's championship. They got to at least get there now. They just can't get to the conference finals now. They got to take that next step to the championship. So this is there. I think this is a easy win for them, an easy series for them. X factor for the Bucks. You can go either way. I guess you can go I'll say Middleton. I think Middleton's going to be the X factor for the entire playoffs for them, and he's got to be that consistent second scorer for Milwaukee. What Giannis can do, but he's their second best player, and you can argue with Lopez or Bledsoe, but it's got to be Middleton. He's their all-star. He's been an all-star the last 2 years. He's got to hit shots. He's got to be consistent. He's got to consistently score 20 points, take the pressure off of Milwaukee, off of Giannis. So I got the Bucks winning 4-0. I think for Orlando, for them to even get a game or two, Vucevic, he's a problem. He can still be a problem, but it's not enough. They just don't have enough. He's the X factor for Orlando. He's such a talented center. He can score inside, can score outside. He's a very slept on player, but they just don't have enough to contend with the number 1 seed in the East.
Cool. All right, so I'm gonna give you mine. Of course, I'm riding with you on these Bucks. Bucks is probably gonna sweep 4-0, or like you said, gentlemen, sweep 4-1. And for all the things you mean, Milwaukee's just stacked, man. They're a stacked team. They're a well-coached team too. They have a really good system. And it's playoff time. They lock down on defense. I think they're top 5 in defense, top 5 in offense too. They're trouble. They're a problem. Like, they're a serious problem. Whoever they play, they're a serious problem. I would say Chris Middleton as well. I think Chris Middleton has to continue to show that he can carry the load at times. Be a legit number 2. As I've said, I've always felt like he's a number 2 or even a number 3, but he has to be a legit number 2. Maybe not this series, because this series I don't care who they throw out there, they're gonna probably win this series. But for the sake of the conversation, Chris Middleton, we need you to be consistent with the jump shot and driving to the rim. Don't do the stupid trying to drive through traffic. You're not that good of a dribbler, but the jump shot is wet, it's silky smooth. And you know what I'm saying? And when you get physical, when you play physical ball, the results typically happen. Do that, and they walk out of there 4-0 against Orlando. Now, Orlando, my X factor is going to be Aaron Gordon. Gordon, I need you to do something, bro. Right? I need that potential to finally become production. I need it to become production now. You know what I'm saying? I need you to go give me 20 a night. Not 13. Now I need 20 plus a night because, Vucevic, he's going to do his thing. Terrence Ross is playing well. You have other. Even Markelle Fultz is giving you something this season. He's playing well defensively, offensively. Evan Fournier, he's giving you something. DJ Augustine, You know, he's coming off the bench giving you 10, but Aaron Gordon, you are supposed to be the guy on this team. I
Yes.
need you to step up, man. I need the points. I need the points, man. I need you to be a factor for this series to go 4-1 at least.
Yeah, at least get a game.
Get a game.
If Aaron Gordon steps it up, I can see them getting at least one game. But this is his time. I mean, it's the playoff time. You got to step it up on both ends of the floor, and just can't be just offensively. You got to play defense too. But I just don't see them getting the game at all. So.
Yeah, definitely. Want to see what Markelle Fultz does. He showed some light this year. He definitely did. Say he's been out for 2 years? About 2 seasons. So it's good to see him kind of bouncing back. I remember people was writing him off. They was calling him a bust and everything. I think he's starting to round into shape. Let's see, what happens. Let's see what happens with him.
See why he was the number 1 pick. Let's see. Let's see what he can, if he can step it up. I mean, he's played well this season. So, yeah. I mean, for them to have a chance, the guards got to play well. And like you said, Aaron Gordon and Vucevic, they got to continue. Vucevic is consistent. He gives you 20 and 10 each night. So he's a baller.
Yeah, Bucks and 4. You're right. Bucks and 4.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Sweet. Let's go to the next matchup. And I think this is one of the hardest matchups to call in the Eastern Conference. The Pacers and the Heat. Man, these are 2 big teams. Nate McMillan has been coaching the Pacers well. He's been finding stars somehow. He's been getting production from everywhere. And you got Eric Spoelstra, a 2-time champion, a great offensive and defensive-minded coach. He's got some great pieces in Miami now. The wing position is really, really strong there. How are you calling this? What's your prediction?
Oh man, this is a tough series. I got Miami winning. It could go 6 or 7. I think it's gonna be tough. I think I'm gonna have Miami in 6. I'm gonna say Miami in 6. Miami's just tough. I mean, they're even without D Wade, they brought Jimmy Butler over. I mean, they got Adebayo's balling, Jay Crowder. They got your boy Iggy over here too. It's like. They got a tough-minded. Miami's always a tough-minded team. Eric Spoelstra, and Pat Riley. That's what they do. That's their motto: defense and intensity and toughness. And Jimmy Butler brings all of those to the table and then some. So Miami had a very good year. Tough. Like I said, they're gritty. They grind, and the only question mark with them is, can they get enough scoring? And if Jimmy Butler gets shut down, who steps up? We just talked about Milwaukee. If Giannis has one of those bad games, who steps up? Is it Adebayo? Is it Kendrick Nunn? Is it Duncan Robinson? The X factor, the key factor for Miami to me is Tyler Hero. Now he had a really good season in the bubble. I mean, this guy was hitting jump shots, and I mean, you already knew he can shoot, but now he handles the ball. So now it's the playoffs now. So can he step it up in the playoffs? That would be it. But they got to find that consistency as well. If not, they're going to just be a well balanced team. But Indiana, like you said, Nate McMillan, he got these guys. I mean, he got these guys playing. They played hard. They played really, really good, really, really well. And T.J. Warren, he's still the X factor for them. I mean, this guy was scorer. Maybe he was on the all first team bubble team, and so deservedly so. I mean, we all knew he was a great scorer, but he don't care who he plays against. He plays against. He brings it to Jimmy Butler. You got that whole thing with them two not liking each other, and he brought it to LeBron. He didn't care. T.J. Warren was just like, I'm just going to bring it to whoever gets in my way. But I think Indiana, what they lack is that punch. Sabonis is not there. Victor Oladipo. He's not. He just doesn't look healthy. He doesn't look right at all. I think that's what hurts him. So if Oladipo was back to being Oladipo before the injury, then I think this will be a more competitive. It's still going to be competitive, but I think it'll be much more competitive. But I got Miami in 6.
Cool. All right. So Miami in 6. Terrence says Heat in 7. Okay, Heat in 7. All right. My prediction. I'm going to go Miami too. I'm gonna go Miami in 6. I like both of these teams. One thing I like about both of these teams is they get scoring from a lot of places, right?
Yeah.
So you look at this Indiana team. Of course, you got T.J. Warren, who was the leading scorer this year at 19 a game. You had Sabonis at 18. You had Brogdon at 16. You had Turner at 12. You had Lamb at 12. You had Oladipo at 14. You had Doug McDermott at 10. Like, so you had 7 players in double digits this season. You know, they were getting scoring from a little bit of everywhere. They are a team. They play team basketball and they move the ball for the most part. And like I said, they're a well-coached team, a good defensive team. Miles Turner is a problem in the paint. Blocking shots defensively, things like that. And of course, Oladipo is a problem on the perimeter when healthy. I don't know how healthy he is right now. He's back, but I don't know how healthy he is. But in comparison, when you look at this Miami team, and the Miami team too, they get scoring from everywhere as well. I mean, you look at their scoring. Of course, Jimmy Butler at 20 a game. You got Bam at 16. You got Duncan Robinson at 13. Kendrick Nunn at 15. Dragic at 16. Jay Crowder at 11. And Tyler Hero at 13. You're getting scoring from everywhere as well. For my two X factors for this series for Indiana, I want to go two X factors in Indiana. Sorry,
I know.
I think Brogdon got to ball out. Brogdon got to ball out. Like, they need Brogdon to step it up and really like be that dude that they paid. You know what I'm saying? They paid him. They need him to step it up and take that next step. I think he had, when he was with Milwaukee, I think he had a 50, 40, 90 season, I believe. Where he was like, so they need that. They need that 50, 40, 90 Brogdon. You know what I'm saying? After torch. You know what I'm saying? He's averaging 7 assists. He's going to have to be a better distributor, a better ball distributor. Like I said, this team, they need that right now. And if Oladipo can't do it, then he has to be the one to step it up. And then my second X factor is Oladipo. What are we going to get from Oladipo? Because if we can get the old Oladipo before that injury, they can actually make some noise. They can make some legit noise and possibly knock Miami off. But if Oladipo doesn't show up, this might get ugly. This might get real ugly. Now, on the Miami side, I got Duncan, right? Duncan, let the ball go, baby. Go ahead and shoot. You got free reign to shoot it. So shoot. If he's hitting, everything else opens up. For Bam, for Butler, for Dragic, everybody flourishes when that dude is just shooting. When he don't think about nothing, catch and shoot the ball. That's what they pay you to do, right? As Clay said, I ain't passing up no shots. That's what they pay me to do. They tell me to shoot the ball, I'm gonna shoot the ball. So you gotta have that mentality. Go in there, shoot the ball, knock down shots. If you're knocking down shots, Miami wins. And again, defensively, Miami has so many wings that they can throw on you that can guard multiple positions, right? Because you have, of course, Jimmy Butler. You have you traded for Jay Crowder. You got Crowder there, and you got Iggy. All three of them are monsters on. They can lock down on defense. They can give you problems on defense. So you got them three out there, and they can give you just something on scoring. Crowder and Iggy, they can give you something on scoring. You're in a good position to win.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Like you said, Miami, I mean, that's what Jimmy went over there for. He wanted to go over there and ball out. Like, I mean, he could have stayed with the Sixers, but he said, I like what Miami does. I like their blueprint's always been defense and hustle. And they got guys that they buy in and they do it. And Jimmy, I mean, if he plays like he played during the regular season and last year in the playoffs, Miami could go far. They could be a problem. They get past it in, they can be a huge problem for Milwaukee or whoever else is in their way. They can be a very dangerous team.
They're a dark horse team to me. They're a dark horse. Yep. We had Trey come on. What's up, Trey? Great for you to be visiting your own show today.
Yeah, man. Yes.
But hopefully we're doing you proud today, man. Hosting. Hopefully we're doing a good job. So
yeah, we're doing it, man.
All right. Let's go to the next series. The Celtics and 76ers. Brad Stevens, Brett Brown. Good series. How do you call it? Who's your X factors?
Ooh, this is another tough series too. I got the Celtics winning this one. I think they win in 6, beating the Sixers, maybe 7. If Ben Simmons was playing as we talked about earlier, I still think the Celtics had enough to win. But it's all about, like you said, it's all about the coaching with Brett Brown. If he can, they still got enough talent. The Sixers have enough talent. Joel Embiid, but for all purposes, he's the best player on the floor. If he can really just play and just hoop like we know he can, he should dominate this series. The Celtics have no size. When they don't play Cantor, they have no size at all to contend with him. So Joel Embiid should average 40 and 20 in this series, but he won't because he likes to play on the perimeter. He likes to dance around, and he needs to just get in that post and just dominate this small Celtics team. And if the Sixers can hit shots, they still got a chance. They give the Celtics a lot of problems though. They over the last few years they've always, because Joel Embiid gives them, he's a matchup nightmare for them because they have nobody to contend with them. But the Celtics are just too deep. They have a lot of guys, a lot of wing players, from Tatum to Gordon Hayward to Jaylen Brown to Marcus Smart, Kemba Walker. I mean, if all those guys produce, hit shots, and just continue to hoop like they've been doing, I think the Celtics win in 6. X factor to me, I think for the Sixers, I was gonna say Joel Embiid, but he's not the X. I think the X factor is probably I'll say Al Horford playing his old team. I think he's the X factor because he knows the Celtics system, so he can help out in that regard. And Al Horford's a very smart player. But he's gonna have to guard one of those perimeter perimeter players that the Celtics have. He's got to either guard Tatum, he's gonna have to guard Jaylen Brown or Hayward, and they got to guard him on the other end too. But I think he's the X factor there for the Sixers. For the Celtics, I think the X factor is it's still I think it's Kemba Walker. I think they got him over there to be their leader, that their point guard. They got rid of Kyrie, and they thought Kyrie was the issue because he didn't really want to be there, and he was trying, his leadership skills just didn't cut it with that young team. But I think it's got I think the Celtics have to really, like, Kemba Walker has to lead this team, and Jaylen Brown and They just got to continue to keep balling like they've been doing, and if they do, and Tatum, if they continue to hoop like they've been doing, then they should beat the Sixers in 6. Not sure if we lost Tyon again, but yeah. So for me, like I said, the Celtics, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown, they were 20-point scores. Tatum definitely improved from last season, stepped it up big time, and he's becoming an all-star caliber player. So the Celtics, I think they're deep. They can hit shots. They got versatility on the perimeter, and on top of that, they could flat out score. But Kemba Walker has to lead this team, to me, when it's all said and done. So I got the Celtics in 6. Let me see. Tyon, are you there still?
Can you hear me? There you go. I'm here.
Yep. All right.
Yeah, cool. All right. So I was trying to put the stats up. Ben throwing it out. That's his X factor. All right. Matisse. All right. So and we got the update. Trey gave us the update. Right now it's 85-83. Philly currently. And as we pointed out, Joel Embiid, 21 points tonight, 8 of 11 shooting, 11 boards. So he's balling. He's not sitting on the 3-point line. 1 from 3 from the 3-point line. So he was like he's been in the paint doing some work.
That's what he needs.
Is what we were saying. He got to do some work, and maybe the Ben Simmons thing is a blessing, as I stated earlier. But
yeah.
I'm gonna have to go with you. I think that this Boston Celtics team can beat them. I think the Boston Celtics team can beat them in six. Um, this Boston Celtics team is a good defensive team. I think they're an elite defensive team. Stevens, I love him as a coach, man.
Yeah,
He figures it out. I mean, he game plans. He figures it out. Um, as being pointed out, a healthy Hayward. They do got a healthy Hayward this season. And like I said, they're getting production from everywhere, from their guards, from their wings. My X factor for this series, and I'm gonna start with the Celtics, is Jaylen Brown. Man,
mm,
that dude does not get the respect that he should get, man. I mean, he averaged 20 a game this season quietly. Last year, we didn't really hear much from him. The Kyrie Irving experiment did not work. I felt like it kind of slowed him down. But once Kyrie moved and they brought in Kemba Walker for some reason, he just took off.
yeah,
And so he's been balling. We already know what Tatum can do. We've already seen Kemba Walker in Charlotte. We know what he can do too. But I believe that in order for this team to truly win, Jaylen Brown has to be the player, has to be the man on both sides. He has to be that second dog offensively for them behind Tatum. And defensively, he has to be the dog. He got to
yeah,
be.
yeah,
And he is. He can be. When he's locked in, like I said, when he's locked in, he's one of the better two-way players in the league. Um, I think I need him to ball out. If he balls out, Boston is going to be giving people some problems. Like I said, at least until next series, because next series they'll end up beating, they'll end up meeting like the Raptors, and I think the Raptors is just too big for them. Um,
yeah.
but but at least for this series, I need him to ball out. But the 76ers, being pointed out, Matisse, I am going to go, man, I'm going to go with Shake. I need Shake.
Milton.
Shake, right? Because you know what you're going to get from, I feel like you know what you're going to get from Embiid. I feel like you know what you're going to get from Al Horford. You know what Tobias Harris is there to do. He's like your spot up. You know, the way they use him as like that corner three type
Yeah,
dude. You know what I'm saying? So they use him like that often. But Shake gets going and they can be some problems, right? You know, right before the season ended, you started seeing Shake kind of make some noise. He is a shooter. He can shoot. Um,
mhm,
and once he starts getting them jump shots up and they start falling, they start raining, um, you kind of open that whole floor up, and that allows Embiid to get going. That allows open drives to the rim. That allows guys like Alec Burks, who actually is playing pretty well today. Josh Richardson, who's a guy who likes to attack the rim. Of course, Joel Embiid and Al Horford, they play in the paint. This opens up everything for them. Mike Scott, it opens up everything for them. So, Shake Milton, we need you to show up, baby. Show
yeah.
up, shoot the ball well. If you shoot the ball well, Philly might get to the next round, or they'll get destroyed by Toronto again.
Yep.
But but they'll get there. So, all right, moving on to the last series in the Eastern Conference. We have Nick Nurse and his Raptors against Jacques Vaughn and the Nets. Now, before we even preview this, the Raptors won today. It was a blowout game.
Wow.
They were up by like 30 something at halftime. So it was a blowout. They just cruised to the win. But because we want to give everybody an equal opportunity, give me your give me your analysis of the Raptors and the Nets. Who are you taking? Who's your X factors?
Wow, I mean, yeah, the Raptors blew them out, man. They just blew them out. Like they jumped on them. I think they won by it was like 130 to 110 or something like that. It was a huge blowout. But I got the Raptors. I got them winning in 5. I'll give the Nets one game.
Ooh,
This could be a sweep too. I mean, I was just maybe I'll say it's either gonna be a sweep or 5. But the Raptors. too big, too physical. The Nets, the Nets are just they're there right now. They don't have enough on their roster without any of their horses there, man. Like
Nah.
everybody's hurt or they're sitting out, So they definitely, I mean, for them to make the playoffs, to continue, they had a really good season to even just to be there, so to make the playoffs. So shout outs to them, but the Raptors are just too good. The coach and Nick Nurse, I mean, this guy he doesn't get enough respect. I mean, he won the championship his first year coaching, and now they're on the verge of maybe getting out of the East again without Kawhi Leonard. I don't even know if anybody predicted. Now, we predicted they would be good. They would be good without Kawhi, but I don't know. I haven't heard anybody, us experts, everything that said the Raptors would be this good without Kawhi Leonard. So,
Yeah.
I mean, to be the second seed, they finished 53-19. They came in the bubble on a mission. They came early, and defensively, man, they are bulldogs. Like I said, physical, long. They got length. They got a little bit of everything. And like I said, Nick Nurse just got these guys playing out of their minds. So yeah, I got Toronto winning pretty handily, pretty easily. I don't know if it's going to be all blowouts, but they definitely should just cruise in this series. My X factor, man, Toronto they can go a lot of different ways. I think the X factor, I think is Marc Gasol. Actually, I think he showed up to the bubble training camp, had lost some weight. It seemed like he's quicker, still can play that defense, and he's physical, can still hit this jump shot. I think he could be the X factor for Toronto. For the Nets, I'll break it brief. I think Karis LeVert. I think he's their main guy, so he's their main X factor. But if you take him out, the Nets have no chance. But Karis LeVert's getting a lot of play, a lot of burn. So once KD comes back and once Kyrie, if they get another guy, or maybe he could be the other guy. He's getting the experience. They're using him in a lot of different ways, and he got the ball in his hands constantly, so he can shoot whenever he wants and everything. But I think Karis LeVert, he's the X factor for the Nets. He's got to really be an all-star caliber player for them to have a chance to win even one or two games. But I got the Raptors. But I think with the Raptors, their only problem, I think, not in this series, but probably for the next series and beyond, they get that far, is where will they get the offense from if it bogs down? You know what I mean? Like, we know from watching basketball for so many years, you need a guy that can get buckets. And, maybe, it could be Kyle Lowry. It could be Siakam. It could be some of these other guys, Gasol or Ibaka. It's got to be somebody, because they had Kawhi that can get them buckets like that. So, we'll see if they can find a guy that can consistently give them buckets when things get bogged down. But the Raptors are definitely a huge dark horse.
All right. So I'm going to go first off. I think this is a sweep by the Raptors. I think the Nets, like you said, they don't got enough dogs in the fight, man. They don't got enough horses, man. Yeah. It just ain't gonna work. And I do like some of their players, but also think that this was a team that was coached really well by Kenny Atkinson, and I don't think that his rotations and things like that worked really well for them. The addition of those other players kind of threw that off, and they never really got into a rhythm. I still don't think they get into a rhythm now. So with that being said, like I said, I think this is a sweep. The Raptors just have too much firepower. You look at that squad, Ibaka, Gasol, Van Fleet. I mean, the guys are they're loaded, right? But my X factor for Toronto is OG. OG, who missed the playoffs last year. He's came back. He's played really well. He shot 50% from the field this year, and close to 40% from a 3-point line. He's played good all season. A good defender. I think this is the guy who, outside of your key players, which is Siakam, Lowry, and Van Fleet, those are your guys who really carry the scoring load. I think he's that fourth guy that can come in And, if one of those dudes aren't playing well, he can take over. So
Yeah.
we haven't got a chance to see much of him, or we didn't get a chance to see much of him last year because of the injuries. This year, he's kind of showing his worth. I think him, along with the growth of Siakam, is the reason why there wasn't really that much of a drop-off with Kawhi Leonard leaving. So that's my X factor for that squad. For the Nets, man, what's up with Joe Harris? Man, can we get it? Can we get it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Joe Harris, let's get a sight, and I need you to go off one time for me. Go off one time. You're shooting 42% from the 3-point line. Y'all pretty much in a no-win situation. Man, let it go. Let it fly, baby. You know what I'm saying? Just get to the 3-point line, pull, give them half court, pull. I don't care. Just pull it and see what happens. Y'all, I mean, what do you have to lose at this point? All you're doing, you're basically a stand-in, man. You're a stand-in for the next round. You're not going to win, but make some noise a little bit.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And go out saying, hey, you know what? I put my best foot forward, and we tried to win this one. But yeah, that's about it. That's all I got because they ain't gonna win.
Yeah. I was trying to give them a game, but I don't think they're gonna get one either. And then you said Van Vliet, that's another X factor too, because you see what he did in the playoffs last year. You know, he was really trying to bring it to Steph in the finals last year. But I think he hit 8 threes, I think, tonight, and that's I mean, this guy, if he could be their that scorer, that guy, if they get, like I said, if they get into one of these offensive ruts where they can't score, nobody's can score. Maybe he can be the guy that can just start, because he can take it to the hole and get it going and hit jump shots. So I mean, Van Vliet, I like Van Vliet a lot.
Yeah. All right. So boom, we are out the Eastern Conference. We are going to the West, where all the dogs are. Man, the West is a beast every year. We know this. And we're gonna start off with the two biggest at the beginning, the Lakers and the Blazers. Frank Vogel, Terry Stotts. You have the Blazers, who were the runner-ups for the Western Conference Finals last year. And of course, the Lakers, you know who you got, the Lakers. You got LeBron James. You got Anthony Davis. All right, you got a whole bunch of veteran players there now. You know, how are you calling this? What do you see it? Let's go.
Oh, this is the tough one, man. I did this on my show on Saturday, and I almost pulled the trigger on Portland upsetting the Lakers, but I just couldn't do it. I mean, because I got so much love for my man Dame Dollar, Dame time, and the way this guy is just balling. I mean, you got to put that respect on this guy's name, man. I mean, the disrespect he gets, I don't know why, but he's one of the best point guards. I'll say that. He's one of the best point guards in the league, one of the best players in the league. And he was the MVP of the bubble, probably besides Devin Booker. But Dame he could carry a series himself. Like, we've seen this. He did it last year. They got to the Western Conference Finals. They just ran into the Golden State Warriors, ran into a buzzsaw and Golden State Warriors. So
every time.
So, but he got there. They're finally healthy. You know, Carmelo is playing out of his mind right now, because I said it a couple of times. I said Melo now, 16th season, finally maybe gets it. Like, I'm not the man anymore. You know, I'm the third, fourth option, and I can just go out and do what I need to do, score buckets. That's what I've been doing all my career. I can still do that because the guards CJ and Dame are going to get double teamed. They're going to get triple teamed, so they make the right play every single time. So Melo can hit big shots. He did it in the bubble. He's doing it now. And now if they're locked up, the guards, Melo can be like, okay, I can still get in the post, still be a beast, and still score. So, you know, Nurkic is healthy. See what he's doing. He's getting a double-double, strong double-double. And, you know, Gary Trent, he's a good defender. He's becoming, you know, a pretty good rotational player for them, and he's playing a lot of major minutes. So Portland's going to be a problem. I got the Lakers winning, but it's not going to be easy. I've seen some people say Lakers in 5. I said, okay, they disrespecting Portland, what they've just done. I got Lakers in 7. I think Lakers in 7 because the X factor, you know, we talk about LeBron. I still say AD is the X factor. If he puts his stamp on this series, nobody can guard him. They don't have nobody can guard Hassan Whiteside,
Yeah,
Nurkic, Melo. They can't. They're not going to be able to guard AD. And I think for the Lakers, the one thing they have to do because they struggled, they got to find that consistent third scorer. If Kyle Kuzma, another X factor, if he becomes that guy that
yeah.
we know where we think he can be, can average like between 18 and 20 points, then the Lakers will be a tough out. But they don't get a consistent third score. I can see the Lakers, they'll win this series, but I don't know if they might not make the Western Conference Finals. So that's
Ooh,
I think they will. I still
okay.
think it's gonna be LA, but that they got to find a consistent score because they got LeBron. Playoff LeBron is a real thing, so LeBron
It is.
he's gonna turn it around, and but they got to get a third guy because they don't have the guards to contend against Dame and CJ. They really don't, and like I said, they can swing a series very quickly. And Caldwell Pope, they're missing Avery Bradley and they're missing Rondo. That to me, that is big. That would be big in this series, and they would be in the guard. So, but I got Lakers in 7.
Yeah, and I agree with you. You know what? I want to go with my heart, man. I'm gonna go with my heart today. I'm gonna go with my heart. I'm probably wrong. Look, y'all can hear me right now. I will admit I probably am going to be wrong, but I want to go on my heart because I picked Portland as my dark horse at the beginning of the season.
Okay.
And when they started talking about the bubble, I said Portland will be the 8th seed. I told everybody that, and I was right. So I'm gonna still stick with my heart and go Portland will beat the Lakers in 7. They will beat the Lakers in 7. And when you look at both of these teams, they both can play physical.
Yep.
Portland isn't a good defensive team. They aren't a good defensive team, but they can get some stops. They can score with the best of them, though.
Yes.
And that's what I am banking on is that they can score with the best of them. I don't know how healthy CJ McCollum's back is going to be. I think that's going to be a huge factor in this series. How much is his back? How much pain can his back take? Because the Lakers are a physical team. So how much physicality can he take in regards to this and give Dame that assistance that he needs, that number 2, be that legit number 2 for him. But those two guards, Dame and CJ, when they're on, man, only two other backcourt better than them is the Warriors. That's how I feel. That backcourt is right there with the Warriors. I think the Warriors backcourt is just a little bit better defensively, but offensively, man, them two can put it in the hole. You know what I'm saying? Them dudes can score. They can get it to the rim. They can ISO. They can shoot it. They can come off the pin downs. They can do it all. So when I look at that, and you pointed out Rondo is not going to be there, Avery Bradley is not going to be there. Those two are probably their 2 best perimeter defenders. They're the 2 best perimeter defenders. And the last time we saw perimeter defense shut down Dame was New Orleans, Rondo, and Collison. Right?
Yeah.
They put a hurting on Dame.
That's clamps.
They put clamps. Yeah. Lakers ain't got that. They ain't got that. Right? Nope. So I heard a lot of people saying, what we can stop Dame. I don't think y'all can stop Dame. I don't think just like I don't think Portland can stop LeBron. And I don't think they can stop AD. But I think that Portland actually might have a deeper team. I think that they can go to Whiteside coming off the bench. They can go to Gary Trent off the bench. I think that Melo can genuinely give them something. I think if the coaching is well, and you'll have to. This is one of them games where coaching will be key. I think if you can get Melo in a lot of action against the second stringers, he can be that leading scorer for those second stringers, right? So doing those rotations, let him get his touches again. A lot of second string players, not name LeBron because LeBron will probably be on Melo. So not name LeBron, let him get out and do his thing. I think this series can swing in the Blazers' way. So my X factors, I'm gonna go with Kuzma for the Lakers. I think Kuzma got to be that number 3, like a legit number 3, and be well, shooting the three well, all those different things. And then for the Blazers, it's Carmelo Anthony, right? I think that you know what you're gonna get from Nurkic. You know what you're gonna get from because Nurkic is going to play big in the paint. I think you know what you're gonna get from Whiteside. Whiteside's gonna give you some good minutes in the paint as well. A good rebounder. You know, he does make some stupid defensive plays at times, but overall a good defender. But Melo has to make people pay. When Dame and CJ go to the rim, attack the rim, and they kick out, Melo got to be that spot up shooter. He got to be ready to catch and shoot. He got to shoot it at a high clip, you know, around 40% from three-point line, I feel. And, you know, and at times when the ball slows down and they want to get, you know, they want to give CJ and Dame that breather, Melo got to be able to take over in the post, from the high post, and do things like that. If he can do things like that, Portland can win this series.
Yeah, like I agree with you, man. I mean, people are sleeping. Like Portland, as long as Dame does, and as you said, that's a good point with CJ and his back. As long as Dame don't run out of gas, because you know he had a real. I mean, he stepped it up like big time, and that could be a fatigue. I mean, for one player, regardless of how good you are, you know that can actually wear you down because he had to do so much. And the Lakers are going to be physical, but the Lakers, like you said, their problem is, you know, Rondo and Avery Bradley, like these were two of your ball handlers too. LeBron's got to handle the ball a lot, so it's almost like they have no other ball handlers. And where are they going to find if Kuzma is their third scorer? They still got to find other scoring. Is it going to be JaVale McGee? They got to find it from either Waiters, J.R. Smith, you know, Markieff Morris. It's got to be somebody. These guys are not. They didn't play well in the bubble. So can the Lakers turn around? Like I said, yeah, you got LeBron AD at the top, but that bottom half of their roster, I'm not a believer in it. Without Avery Bradley and Rondo, then LeBron's got to handle the ball a lot. And I think that's an issue. So, but the Lakers, like I said, AD and LeBron, you had two of the top 5 players in the league. You got a shot to win the championship.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, I don't think people have touched on this. I don't think we have touched on it either. But you know, a lot of times that's where that home court advantage comes in. You at home, you get that crowd noise behind you. Those role players play better at home because they got that encouragement. But ain't no encouragement here. It's just mano talent versus talent. You make a bad play, you might be slapping yourself the next minute. You know, it's almost like, you know, when you at the gym. You at the gym and you play and you playing bad and it just snowballs, man. It just snowballs.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have nobody telling you next play. You know, you don't have the crowd hyping you up, you know what I'm saying, giving you that energy. You don't have none of that. So it's gonna be a big factor. You know, no home court advantage for nobody.
Yeah, a huge factor. And then last point on this is, like, as you said, Portland, they don't guard, but they score. They don't really guard. I mean, they can make stops. The Lakers can play some defense. I mean, that's one thing they do have as defenders. Yeah. But they're gonna have to. The Lakers they have a hard time. They had a hard time scoring the bubble, so it might be these high scoring games. But somebody's got to make stops, and maybe that'll help the Lakers because they are a better defensive team in Portland.
Definitely. All right, next series. We got Mike D'Antoni. We already touched on him a little bit earlier. Mm-hmm. Mike D'Antoni and the Rockets against Billy Donovan and the Thunder. Who are you taking? Who's your X factor? Why?
Man, I am going with OKC and in 7.
Woo! Okay, the upset.
Yes. I got OKC as 7. I think one of the key things with OKC, Billy Donovan showing like he can be a really good coach. He's got the right pieces, and Chris Paul, this guy an MVP caliber season. Chris Paul now has just proven that he still is one of the best point guards. He's one of the best point guards we've seen, especially over the last 10, 15 years. And he just reestablished himself as one of the best point guards in the league. And he's got these guys really balling right now, and him and Billy Donovan. I think Billy Donovan has allowed Chris Paul to kind of just let him run the offense, let him run the team a little bit, give him free reign, and that's helped. And when they run that three guard rotation with Chris Paul and Schroeder and
Shea
Shea, yeah,
Alexander.
Shea Alexander, yes, Shea.
Yeah,
When they run that 3 guard, and you got Steven Adams at the power forward, and Gallinari. When they run that lineup, they giving huge problems because you got your big, you got your shooters, and you got Chris Paul just running the offense. And Shea has stepped it up big time playing with Chris Paul. Learned a lot from Chris Paul. And Schroeder, man, I mean, he comes off the bench, he starts. This guy just gets buckets. This guy just gets huge buckets. So I really like what they bring. Like I said, Chris Paul's just bringing that leadership. Plus, he's gonna have that chip on his shoulder against his former team. He think that they did him wrong. They
yeah,
gave him a bad rap for that, saying that he was done. I guess D'Antoni just didn't know how to use Chris Paul. He wasn't. Yeah, he's not the 3-point shooter that he wants, that D'Antoni likes, but Chris Paul still was one of their better players. So, but yeah, I got OKC. I think the X factor, I think, is Steven Adams. I think he has to bring that physicality. If that he's a legit 7-foot center, rebounding, shot blocking, toughness, physical, and Houston with the small ball doesn't have a chance against him, and he can guard. So if they try to take him out of the game, Steven Adams can guard, because all they're gonna have to lead him away from the basket. So that's the one thing they're gonna have to do. But if but they're gonna have to guard him down low too. So that's gonna be the X factor for them. Houston, we talked about their run and gun style. It works in the regular season. Can it work in this bubble situation? I mean, if they get hot, yeah, they can score points, and that's the main thing for them. But their X factor to me, and now with Westbrook out, we don't know how long he's going to be out. So they're saying the first couple of games. So Westbrook is the X factor because he's out. I mean, they can't win without Westbrook. Yeah, Harden is the guy and the main guy, but he needs Westbrook. And Westbrook was playing very well down the stretch, and was playing consistent, was playing efficient, and he's a guy that can handle the ball and get to the hole. We know what Westbrook can bring, so I think he's the X factor. But if he's not 100%, Houston gets beat in 7.
All right, so man, this is a hard series to call, man. I would have went Houston initially, but with Westbrook missing the first couple games, we don't know how many games he's gonna miss, and they're just saying he might miss 2 games. But with Westbrook missing games early, I want to take OKC, man. I want to take OKC. I think OKC is a really, really well coached team. You pointed out the Billy Donovan thing. A lot of people wasn't sold on Billy Donovan. I'm not gonna say I'm necessarily sold on him either, but I will say that 3-guard system that he's been using and him having a pure point guard has made a difference. Westbrook is not a pure point guard. Westbrook does get assists, but he's not a pure point guard. He looks to score. And the second option is to pass. Chris Paul is a pass-first guard. He looks to set everybody up, and he makes perfect passes. This dude is laser point accurate with his passing, man. So it makes a huge difference because everybody on that team has flourished with him, and we've seen this effect happen on every team that Chris Paul has went to. They flourish with him. So you see the other players, not the stars, the other players actually benefiting from him, which is what a real good point guard does. So I think they can win this series. They're a really good defensive team. Oklahoma, you point up Steven Adams. Steven Adams does protect the paint well. He's played against Harden and he's played against Westbrook in practice. Practice, not the game, but practice.
Practice, yes.
so he knows how they play. And I think there's a little bit of a revenge factor too there. With not with Harden, but more Westbrook, and Westbrook wanted to just leave OKC. I think his players is going to kind of take that to fuel them. Say, hey, Paul George and him left. They didn't think we could win one with them. You know what I'm saying? And here we are with this point guard and a second-year guard, and we back in the mix already. So, so I think that'll fuel them. My 2 X factors for the Rockets is going to be Jeff Green Jeff Green has been playing really well lately. He looks like a top 10 pick as of late. He looked like an old, like when he got drafted in the top 10, and you thought Jeff Green was going to be the guy in OKC. Thought he's going to be one of the guys. He's looking like that right now. He's been playing really well. He's been on the boards. He's been shooting the ball well. He looks really good. So him being a third or fourth option, as a big, a 6'8", guy who could play defense, we should see him get a lot of minutes this series when they're playing against Steven Adams. You can see him playing against Steven Adams in the paint, and trying to pull Steven Adams out and drive to the rim and or shoot the ball. So I think he's going to be a huge X factor for them. And for the Thunder, I'm going to go Gallinari, right? He's healthy. Yeah. He's finally healthy. He's a good player, man. Like, he's an underrated player. He's played well pretty much everywhere he's been. He's just been hurt too much. But he's a legit 6'10", 6'11", power forward that can play like a guard. And he can play in the paint. So let's see him beat up the Rockets in the paint. You're going to have PJ Tucker more than likely covering him. Let's see if he can take advantage of his size, of his shooting ability, and he draws fouls. He gets to the free throw line. So let's see if he can do that and take advantage of that. If he can do that and take advantage of that, this is going to be a hard team to beat, man. Oklahoma's going to be a hard team to put out.
Yeah, they are, and they're like you said, they're tough. They're tough. I mean, they got that bulldog mentality. Steven Adams, Gallinari's tough too. He's a tough guy too, tough player. You know, Chris Paul. You know, we know he's a dog too. So yeah, I mean, these guys, they don't back down, and they're not. And Houston don't like that physicality at all. So that's what OKC is going to have to do: just be physical, old school mentality, and just out physical Houston.
And see, is Andre Roberson back? Because that's going to be key too, for us defensively.
I think he was. I think they said he was back.
And how healthy is he? You know, because when you look at you guarding, you know, the perimeter. Now you have Shea, you have Chris Paul, who Chris Paul is still a pretty good defender, and you have Roberson, who's a really, really good defender. He's a really good defender, and you can put him on Westbrook and or Harden, and you can put Chris Paul on Westbrook and or Harden, and you let them go to work. You let them go to work. So with that being said, like I said, I think you know, the Thunder has a good chance, especially if they can get these first two games with Westbrook being out, and you know, essentially Westbrook accounts for majority of Houston's points in the paint. I think that Thunder has to take advantage of this. They have to take advantage of this. They got to get these games now, and they got to play with urgency from the beginning. Hey, we got to go get these two games.
Get on and jump on them quick. 2-0. Yeah. Even if they split, they still got to get at least one, but
they got to get one of them.
Yeah, they get both. They just put it in because we don't know. You said Westbrook could be out 3 games, 4 games. We just don't know.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. Next series, Mike Malone's Nuggets against Quinn Snyder's Utah Jazz. Just to update, the Nuggets won today in overtime. I think it was like 135 to 127, somewhere around there. Okay, cool. Yeah. Who are you taking? Who's your X factors?
This is a good series. They match up pretty well. They got big men, they got guard play, and Donovan Mitchell, he had 57. He was like just buckets and buckets and buckets. But the best, he was. I mean, he was hitting threes, he was hitting step backs, he was getting to the free throw line. He was just balling out. But that was their offense right there. You know, they didn't have Mike Conley. He was out because I think he just had a baby, so he was out. But he's supposed to be back. I think game 2 or 3. But I got Denver winning this. Series. I think Denver was my dark horse earlier in the year. I picked them early in the year that they would go far. So second, third round, it's possible depending on matchups. So, but I really like Denver. They got size, they got guard play, and to me, they found their perimeter guy. Michael Porter Jr. He's the X factor for Denver. Like he started out hot today. Like he cooled off in the second half and overtime, but 6'10", legit. He can play D. He can score. I mean, I remember him coming out of college. Like this guy, I was like, this guy can put the ball in the basket, and he's starting to. I mean, with him and Jokic, and these guys, they got a good shot. Murray, and they're playing without a couple of their guards too. There's a couple of their guards are out. So Michael Porter, he can hit from the outside, can play inside. So he's the
Yeah,
X factor. We know what Jokic and Murray hit. Murray hit a lot of big shots too today too. That pick and roll with him and Jokic, they go to that bread and butter at
butter.
the end of the games, man.
Yeah,
That's like Stockton Malone in a little bit because Jokic can pass. So
yeah.
yeah, I like Denver to win this series. I got them winning in six, but
Okay.
Utah's just got to find a second consistent scorer because Donovan Mitchell, like I said today, he was just getting whatever he wanted. Like
Yeah.
Denver couldn't stop. They couldn't stop him. They could not stop him. So they're gonna have to get with Bogdanovich out. They're gonna have to get some scoring from somewhere. Whether it's Gobert, they got to get it. Clarkson or maybe Conley can be that the next their second and third consistent scorer because they're gonna have to get something. Maybe Gobert's gonna have to go back and just say, okay, I got to get 20 and 13 just to have a chance. Because if Mitchell just gets 50 every night or 40 every night, that is going to be it's going to be a short series for them. So, but yeah, I think their X factor is second scoring from somewhere for Utah to have a chance. But I got Denver winning in six.
All right. So, I'm gonna go with you. I'm follow behind you. I got Denver winning in 6-2. And I could probably echo everything that you just said. Right. Utah has to find a legit second scorer. They
Yeah,
are a team that play a lot of team ball, but they need that legit second scorer. They need that other person that can go get buckets. Mike Conley wasn't there today, and maybe Conley does make the difference in the next game. But they need it. Spider can't do it by itself,
no.
right? Spider can't do it. He need the rest of the Avengers to help him, man.
Yep.
He need help, man. You know what I'm saying?
He
So
need Cap and all those guys to help
yeah,
him out.
yeah, he need the rest of the squad. So Ingles had a solid game. I mean, he shot 5 of 12 from 3-point line. Gobert had eight. He was 8 of 11 from the field today. But Royce O'Neal gave them nothing. George Niang gave them pretty much nothing. They're going to have to get some more production. Jordan Clarkson had 18.
Yeah.
So but they just need that legit number two, and maybe Conley is that number two. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he's that second scorer for them.
Yeah.
But they're going to need that to beat this Nuggets team. This Nuggets team got a lot of talent, man. They got a lot of talent. I mean, you look at this game today. Jokic and Murray. Jokic and Murray carried the team. You know what I'm saying? Jokic had 29. Murray had 36. Jeremy Grant had 19 off the bench.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Monte Morris had 14 off the bench. They got Michael Porter gave him 13. Millsap had a bad game. You know what I'm saying? And typically he's pretty consistent too. So this is again, I think these teams are evenly matched for the most part. I think they're really evenly matched. I think Denver has more of the name. They got more of the star power, and we've been seeing them kind of like develop. I think like that Jamal Murray is such a huge deal to that team because when he's going, oh man, that team is hard to beat, man. If he's going, but he's also inconsistent. So
Yes. Yeah.
is Jamal Murray going to turn the corner this season? He is my X factor for Denver. It is Jamal Murray. You know what you're gonna get from Jokic, right? I want to say Michael Porter, but I don't expect much from Michael Porter as of yet. Like I said, they are getting some buckets, and they're getting some buckets from him because, as you pointed out, they have a bunch of guards out right now. They're missing some players. So Michael Porter is getting his opportunity to shine. I really wish I could see Ball Bull in the playoffs too, but I don't think they're gonna run him at all in the playoffs. But they need them. They need them buckets from Murray. Murray's going to be an X factor for them. And then for Utah, like I said, you got to have that second player. That second player probably has to be Gobert, right? So like I like Conley. I think Conley has to has to be your go-to guys, your go-to scorer, him and Spider. But I think, I'm sorry, that X factor has to be Gobert. Gobert has to give you more than like 17 and 10. I need him to give like 22 and 15 type. Like I need him to dominate in the paint. And he has to dominate Jokic, right? He has to dominate Jokic because Jokic offensively is going to score. He is going to score. You got to match his output. You have to, right? And if you can match his output, then you got to neutralize his output, one or the other. But you can't let Jokic come and give you 26 and 10 dimes every night. You cannot do that. That's gonna hurt you. Y'all are gonna lose. So you gotta either match it or you gotta shut his output down.
Yeah, and Gobert can do it. I mean, Joker's just a different type of beast, man. But Gobert's such a great defender. I mean, like you said, but he's got to match him offensively if he's going to do it. And then you said Denver, they did this without Gary Harris and Will Barton. That's two of their best defenders, two of their best guards, and you didn't bring out another good point with Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray if he can just be consistent, because he's going to have to match Donovan Mitchell. He's going to have, and he did it today. Like he did as much as he could. I mean, he took over in the fourth. He was hitting buckets. I think he had like 4 straight shots in overtime. So Jamal Murray's got to be one of the X factors again. And like I said, if they can get anything extra from Michael Porter or any of those other guards, even like I said, Millsap didn't even have a good game, and we know he's capable of getting 15 very easily. So Denver's deep, and they could present a big, huge problem for they're a third seed, so they would play they'll play the Clippers probably more than likely. So they could present some huge problems for the Clippers.
And just an update real quick. Boston Celtics did win against the Philadelphia 76ers 109 and 101. Embiid finished with 26 and 16 boards. 26 and 16 boards. But they still didn't pull it out.
They never enough.
3 of 7 for 6 points. Richardson 18, Shake Milton 13, Tobias Harris 15, Alex Burke off the bench with 18 points. So,
wow.
And then again, Celtics, who I said X Factor, Jaylen Brown, 29, 6 and 4. Tatum, 32 and 13 boards.
There it is. Tatum. Yep.
Tatum.
Kemba 19 and 5 assists. We said he's got a and then Marcus Smart, he only had 2 points, but they got production. The starters got the production this time because Hayward had 12. Tice had 9, so they got their production from their starters this time. So,
and if you look at it, I mean, Theus is getting more minutes than Cantor, and Cantor. Yeah. I mean, hey, Philly might. Brett Brown, you might be gone, man. I'm sorry, bro. You might be gone, bro.
He might be.
All right, let's move on. The last series in the Western Conference, probably one of the most interesting ones as well. You got Doc Rivers with the Clippers, and we got Rick Carlisle with the Dallas Mavericks, right? Trey's team, Dallas.
Yes.
Love Dallas, man. So, who are you taking? What do you think? X factors. Let's go.
Wow. Well, the Clippers. That's the team I'm picking to come out of the West. So just to put that out there now. But I got the Clippers winning this series. Dallas had an unbelievable season. Luka, my goodness, I mean, another guy that walking triple-double. The way he can play, this guy just like he's already one of the top players in the league. He's so controlled. He could beat you in a lot of different ways. He could play in the half court. He could play in transition. When the ball in his hands, you don't know what he's going to do. He passed. I mean, those passes are just ridiculous. He can score. God, he can shoot. I mean, he's a problem, man. I mean, Luka Doncic is a problem, So for them to make the playoffs as a 7th seed is an unbelievable season for Dallas. I just think they're too young. This is Luka's first playoffs, and now he's going to run into a Clipper team that looks hungry. They're getting healthy. They're getting guys back in the bubble. So I think the Clippers got too much. They got too much, and then they could throw defenders at Luka now. So you talk about a strong defensive team when they're locked in. Kawhi, Paul George, Pat Bev. They got guards that can actually. They can actually. I don't know. They're going to shut Luka down, but they really are going to make him work. And Luka's gonna. I think he's gonna get it. He's gonna get his. But the Clippers are just going to be they're going to be way too much for them to handle. So I got the Clippers winning this, and I'll say 5. I think Clippers winning 5 in this series. I just think that now once they put it all together, coaching is a difference in this series too. Rick Carlisle's a really good coach. Doc Rivers is a good coach. So I think that kind of cancels each other out because Rick Carlisle's a really good coach. But I think Doc Rivers is just a better coach, and now he has the guys and Kawhi. He wants to lead this team. He wants to lead his team and get his third ring on 3 different teams. So I do like the Clippers in this series. X Factor. I think for the Clippers, it's Paul George. Actually, playoff P. Is that going to be a real thing? You know what I mean? Like he's healthy. He looked really good in the bubble. So he's playing like the MVP, Paul George, in those 8 games, and he's hitting jumpers. He's moving around. Defensively, he's playing well, and now he can be that. He's like a 1B. He's not a number 2. He's a 1B, and I think that's the key. And Zubac for the Clippers too. Zubac had a pretty good bubble too. I think he averaged 11 and 11. So he gets in there, plays the starting minutes. He doesn't really play a lot of fourth quarter, but he gets a double-double, and if he averages that's a huge problem for a lot of teams. So I think Paul George and Zubac is the X factors for the Clippers. The X factor for Dallas, and you said we know what Luka can do. I think it's Porzingis. Porzingis stay healthy. He can make a huge matchup problem for the Clippers. If he can continue to be that consistent guy that can put the ball on the floor. He can shoot. He's 7'3". Can't be stopped in the post really either. I think he can be the X factor. Tim Hardaway, he's another guy that can actually can score. Seth Curry, they got to have one of those 3 guys to help Luka out, and maybe they can and they try to stop the Clippers because defensively they're not really that good. But I think those are the guys I think that could be the X factor for Dallas to at least get a couple of games.
All right. And so I'm gonna kind of echo that. I do got the Clippers winning this. I'm gonna actually go Clippers in 6 though. I'm gonna give Dallas 2 games. And for me, like I said, I mean the Clippers. I think defensively is what sets them apart from a lot of teams. They have so many good defensive players on their team, especially on the perimeter. That perimeter defense and that length is crazy. You know what I'm saying? And so you're going to see how much that is like in this playoffs. Once it starts with Kawhi Leonard, you got Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, which are those are 2 amazing defenders. And then you got Patrick Beverley, who's the bulldog. He's the instigator. He kind of messes with you all the time. So those 3, you got Montrezl Harrell in the back. He's a good rim protector. He plays good defense too. So they're a good defensive team. My X factor. And I can't just pick one person on the Clippers because I've been going with the bench squad. I think the bench is what is the X factor for them. You already know you're going to get Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. They're going to keep you in every game. It's that bench. That bench is what runs away with games, right? Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell, they're both averaging 18 a game, right? They can score. So you get both of them going. You get Shamet who can get some shots in. You get, they can turn it up, Morris. So this bench is what's going to put them over the top. For the Mavericks, we already know what Luka can do, and we've seen Porzingis play really well in the bubble. My X factor for the Mavericks is Seth Curry, right? Tim Hardaway has played well. Seth Curry, we need you to be consistent. Make free throws, make shots, make the 3 ball. And if you can stretch the floor, you can let Luka do his thing. Luka is a superstar. He's the reason why Vlade Divac stepped down with the team because
Yeah,
he blew it big time. He
yeah,
blew it
boy.
big time.
Yes, he did.
You know what I'm saying? And I was reading the article. I understood why he did it, but you got to realize that the NBA has changed. You don't necessarily need a dominant big guy to win now. You could have put De'Aaron Fox with Luka, and they would have been successful. So that would have been a nasty combination, to be
Yeah,
honest. That would have
yes.
been a nasty combination. But I get it. Who did he draft? Bagley. If Bagley works out,
Can't stay,
20
can't
and
stay
10.
healthy. Can't stay healthy.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, if he stays healthy and gets you some wins, gets you to the playoffs, maybe you can feel some type of. Nah, no, you're not. You're not gonna feel nothing. Luke is a superstar. You're right. No, my bad. Luke is a superstar. You messed that up. All right. So we've basically laid out the first round of the playoffs. Man, like I said, it's already started today. It's late in the year. Usually we're done with the playoffs right now. We're looking at the draft.
Yeah.
But we're in full playoff mode, man. So anything else you want to add, Courtney?
No, I think we covered it all, man. That was a good conversation. We held it down. Just the two of us. Usually we have 4 or 5 people in here, but
I know.
But we held it down. I mean, we've done this. You've been on my show many times, so we talk NBA or NFL, whatever topic
it is.
we do this, man. We do this for a living, so it's all good. So yeah, I think we did a really good job, man.
I agree. So you know what I'm saying. We gotta thank Trey for letting us host the show today.
Yes,
Mr. Sutterth, Ben Dog, we appreciate you letting us run the show. And hopefully all of us will be back next week.
Yep.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it. You want to let us know what you got going on this week?
Yeah. Just had a couple of shows over this weekend. Talked a lot of NBA playoffs. We talked a little NHL playoffs. We did a little bit of everything. So next week, probably same thing. Just going to talk playoffs and NFL, maybe some college football because we don't know if they're going to be.
Oh man,
I know we had those shows. They really NCAA putting that pressure on the rest of the conferences to shut down. So, but yeah, going to get into that probably on Saturday. So check that out, bs3radio.com.
All right. Thank you. And y'all have a good day.
All right, man. See you guys.